Yeah.
So, so we are keep continuing sutra number again. Sutra number 19. Shakti sandhane sarirotpatihi. By awakening Kundalini Shakti, one able to developing one pointedness of the mind, fully awareness of the self, and such yogi can create the all kind of miracles it can create in different bodies as well. This is a that this sutra also explain. The sutra says that the yogi who is united with the Ichha Sakti. So Ichha Sakti means here again, once again I tried to explain Ichha, willpower. Mm. So Ichha Sakti, the willpower of Lord Shiva. So once you're awakening Kundalini and one able to developing one pointedness, and after that one can also master the Ichha Sakti. So when Ichha Sakti can be created, the willpower of the Shiva can create anything. It means once we realize I'm the Shiva, I'm the pure consciousness, I'm the divine consciousness, such a person can also create different bodies. So they say this sutra says that the yogi who is united with Ichha Sakti can develop certain vibhutis or supernormal powers, supernatural powers. He can they say he can for a instance create any kind of body that he desires. They say, of course, if one master of the Ichha Sakti, naturally a person can and create any kind of body he desires. It should be born in the mind that he can do so only by the being contact with the divine willpower, Icha or the Parasakti. They say that again. It's very nice devotional way. They said a yogi can create any kind of bodies or any kind of miracles can be manifest by the grace of Parasakti. But Parasakti ultimately, Icha Sakti of Lord Shiva, no separations. No separation from Shiva, that must be clear. So therefore, and they say it should be born, it means in the mind that he can do so only by being in contact with the divine willpower, Icha Sakti or Parasakti. So we quote a verse from this Pandakarika. Khemaraj describe how he can do so. In his working condition, he has to play to the divine for the accomplishment of a certain desire object. Afterwards, when he goes into samadhi, complete mental observation, his prana and apana functions stop. But when he rises from the samadhi and in the waking conditions again, the functions of the prana and apana are re-established, and he finds that his desired object has been fulfilled by the divine power to which he prayed and with which he was united. If the yogi wants to experience certain supernormal object in a dream, that again is fulfilled by the divine power with his contact. But again, it's very interesting that the sutra again explain only a yogi can create the miracle powers when the prana and apana unite with him. Prana apana already united means awakening already takes place. Once awakening takes place, only a person can enter into samadhi. After samadhi and becoming a master of the willpower of Lord Shiva, it means a yogi becoming blessed by the grace of Parasakti, then only can happen all miracle powers. So that to be clear. So that means there is no separation from the Shiva. So they say stop the functioning Ida and Pingal. They say stop functioning of the prana apana. They are very nice. They say that very interesting that word. They say afterwards when he goes into samadhi, complete mental observation, his prana and apana function stops. But when he rises from the samadhi and in the working condition again, the function of his prana and apana are re-established, and he finds that his desired object has been fulfilled. By the divine power to which he played and with which he was united. So it means a yogi, when united completely with the Shiva by the willpower of Shakti, Icha Shakti. So that is now we are very clear. But everything happened by the divine grace. So that is all about the sutras. Right? So
Yeah.
sutra all about so the sutra is a again I try to repeat the sutras what they say that this is Shakti Sandhana Sarira Utpatihi. Shakti Sandhana. So by becoming a master of the Shakti, by becoming master of the Icha Shakti, only a yogi can create so supernatural powers. But why we are speaking about supernatural powers? The subject is all about enlightenment. Actually, this is the different stages of the enlightenments. Am I clear that? So one should not stop. It is the different stages of the enlightenments.
Yeah, it's like the Vibhuti Pada in Yoga Sutras.
Exactly. So you can say that also. Vibhuti, the third chapter of Yoga Sutras, you can say that because that is sometimes it can be a light, it can be obstacles if you stalk it. If you find the ego, so it can be stalk it. Sometimes can be obstacles. But of course, it's nice to have such kind. It means a person and developing the spiritual path. Is walking spiritual is progress that and but but most of the yogis they don't play with this power as well. They keep this, they know, but they don't play with this kind of supernatural powers. But it's good to have it, right? Then sutra number 20. Sutra number 20. They say Bhuta Sandhana Bhut Prithakva Biswa Sanghatah. I'll later also share this very nice sutras, and you can have Sanskrit and English, very nice actual explanations. So Bhut Sandhana Bhut Prithaka Twa Bi Visva Sanghatah. Bhuta means existence entities. Sandhana, putting together or joining. Bhuta Sandhana, putting together or joining the components of existence. Bhuta Prithaka Katva. Disjoining or separating the components of existence. Bhuta Sandhana Bhut Prithaka Tva. Be Shwa Sanghata. Sanghata, assembling, collecting, joining, uniting, Viswa, the everything, the whole universe, all. Viswa Sanghata, the power of uniting, bringing together everything. The other super normal powers of the yogi are the power of joining. Now they're going to kind of explanations. What are happening when a yogi creating a lot of powers? What happening? A lot of miracles. What happening? The power of joining or putting together elements or parts in existence. Synthetical power, power of separating elements of the existence, analytical power, and power of bringing together everything. So this sutra, let we shall go a little bit further, then you can understand properly. The essence of this sutra, I try to go to essence of sutra a little bit, then you can understand. They say the divine creation pulsation, the creative power inherent in I consciousness. The yogi acquires control over hunger, thirst by Spandakarika. This describes the power of controlling physical instincts. The Shiva Yoga, Vanimesa means the unfold of a spiritual consciousness by concentrating on the inner consciousness, which is background of all thoughts process. This verse describes the power of controlling all emotions. They describe the power of bringing back to consciousness all part all past objects and events which are unknown. The sutta number 20. Again, we are keep continuing. The bhuta means all existence like body, prana, object, etc. Sandhana means their addition or putting together or promoting growth. So bhuta sandhana means the power of joining elements or existence for a augmentation or a promotion of growth in some cases. Bhuta, bhuta pruthaka means power of separating or element from body for curing physical elements or etc. Vishwasangraha means power of bringing together all things removed by the space and time. By making the object his own object, knowledge, all these powers accrues to him when he is able to unite his consciousness with Ichasakti, as said before. This has been given in all agamas in the chapter on or Sandhana means appearance mastering, overpowering. So we can understand this sutra try to explain and how a yogi, a sadhaka, and describes all the powers and dealing with supernatural powers. Just as even a weak person proceeds to do his work by taking hold of that power, so he who is extremely hungry can subdue his hunger. Just as a thief carries away the valuable of the house, if the depression saps away from the vitality of the body, the depression proceeds from ignorance. If that ignorance disappears by unmesa, how can the depression last in the absence of its cause? As a thing which was dimly perceived, as past, spite of the attentiveness of mind becoming clear when observed again with all exertion of the will, even so that thing which existed in reality, et paramarthena, in whichever form, in whichever place or time yatra, in whichever way, yatha becomes manifest immediately again, in the same form, place or time and way, to one who takes resort to the power of spanda. So the verse is describing all the power of controlling all emotions. Actually, a yogi, when creating all kind of supernatural powers naturally, a yogi, master for all the senses, sayama, master of the all the senses organ, even master of the 21 elements, what we have been tattva suddhi. Because when you are master of the 5 sense of action, 5 sense of knowledge, 5 pranas, mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankar, not only that, panchabhutas, mahabhutas, for example, the earth, the water, the air, the fire, and ether elements. So naturally, a yogi master of the all senses, and yogi also naturally awakening Kundalini. So such a yogi can create the all kind of miracle powers, supernatural powers. Therefore, the 19th Sutra says that the yogi who can unite his consciousness with the divine, Ichasakti, can acquire the power of creating any kind of body according to these desires. The present sutra describes further supernatural powers of the yogi, the power of joining together certain elements in the body for growth and nourishment, the power of separating elements from a body or object, and the power of bringing back to consciousness all objects and events far removed in the space and time. The occult power of reading past events and knowing object for away in the space. However, he does not desire simply limited powers, but wants to acquire the form of universal consciousness, they are accused to him. So, the final sutras explain, and when a yogi, master of the Ichasakti, not only creates supernatural powers, but in order to also experience the higher divine consciousness, the universal power as well, the Shiva consciousness. So that we can, this much today, the Sutra number 20. So here is very interesting. Vibhuti Pada, they explain, of course, that is the obstacles, but that is not actually the part of when. And Vibhuti Pada is all about to a person creating, a person can create also experience supernatural powers, but same supernatural power is not obstacles, but is helping you also one way and go to further, not to play with that supernatural powers.
Yes.
They say yogi, and which that is say they can create supernatural powers, but not only that, but also, and yogi also can cure so many kind of sickness and desires as well. That is very interesting. So therefore, like sometimes we say that this yogi, this master, this guru healing a lot of energy, lot of sickness. Actually, they are master of certain senses. So they have the ichha sakti, willpower. So that willpower, the prana is flow, and that through that energy, also a person can cure different sickness as well. But that is part of supernatural powers. Am I clear that?
Yes.
But same time, there is also we have to think about it. That supernatural power weakness also leads to the experience of the Shiva consciousness or the universal consciousness. But we have to think about it also. If a person master of the Ichha Shakti is fine, one pointedness is fine. That one pointedness also leads to the experience Shiva consciousness. But sometimes, see, I heard also a yogi when showing supernatural powers, this sometimes can be in trap, can be in the traps, so that not going to higher enlightenment or the experience super consciousness. But this is a part of willpower, can create supernatural powers. Not necessarily that person not going to be trapped. So trap is there. It means through that willpower can go into enlightenment, but not necessarily a person is fully enlightenment. Even he creates the supernatural powers. That is, they say that can happen only when prana and apana unite. A person awakening Kundalini energy. And once awakening Kundalini energy, that also person can enter into, slowly can walking towards the Shiva Loka, towards the divine consciousness. But same time when awakening Kundalini takes place, also person can create supernatural powers. Or can cure sickness and everything. Can be united, can be separating. So we have to be very clear here. But sometimes a person also can create supernatural power after enlightenment. But before enlightenment, also person can create supernatural powers. So that's both. Those who creating supernatural powers before enlightenment, before fully enlightenment, these people can be in a trap. If a person is completely enlightenment by the grace of divine, by the grace of Parasakti, and creating the miracles, so these people not in the traps. So we have two kind of traps here. And one kind of trap is there. Am I clear that?
Yes.
So therefore is very good sutras. They try to explain, but still they not explain exactly that about traps. But this is my understanding. Why they say that? Because they say that there is when a yogi is separating and separating and joining the, when separating from the one point, separating from the universe, separating from the exactly the willpower of the Parasakti, there still can be cure certain sickness and desires and whatever. But same time when you unite this consciousness, also go to the universal consciousness. So this sutra showing both miracles and enlightenments. Thank you for today.
Okay.
Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Sachidanandamurtaye Nisprapanchaya Santaya Niralambaya Tejase Sankaram Sankaracharyam Kesavam Badarayanam Sutrabhasakritam Vande Bhagavanto Panaha Panaha Ishwara Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyamavad Dehaya Siyachidamurtai Namaha Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. So very good sutras. I love it personally. Shiva Sutra. Agam Shastras. Thank you for today.